I'm an American board certified OBGYN, a mom, a Muslim, and I'm talking about sex. This is the Muslim Sex Podcast. Welcome to the Muslim Sex Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sadaf and this episode is everything you need to know about midlife and menopause and sexual health and family medicine and all that great stuff. And of course, as always, this is not meant to be any type of medical advice. So if you have any questions about any of those things, make sure you go see your doctor. And if you have any questions about your religion, make sure you go see your family neighborhood religious leader. This is a Muslim Sex Podcast because I just happen to be a Muslim woman that talks about sex. So today, I am here at a retreat that we go to for our business. So Dr. Olabintan and myself, she and I, we are both part of a business coaching program called Entre MD, and we're both at this vision retreat. And it's so hard to get doctors to schedule podcasts. So she and I, we're going to do this while we're at this vision retreat. So Dr. Tolulope Olabintan.
Yes.
This is the first time I just call her Tolu, so that's why I'm struggling.
That works too.
But Tolu is like this amazing family doc, and I'm going to let her introduce herself to you, and then we'll get started with the podcast.
All right. Hello, everyone. First, I've got to say thank you for having me. Of course. Exciting to be here. And you're an amazing woman. Thank you for the things you do and how you advocate for your clients, potential and real. So I'm a family physician. I'm also a lifestyle physician, obesity medicine physician, and I'm big on life. I'm a life enthusiast, and I help people live long and well because I believe the quality of life is just as important as the quantity of life. I do run a private practice in Mansfield, Texas, not too far from the DFW area. And I love having conversations like this to help improve people's quality of life so they can live out their God-given purpose. So yes.
Excellent. That is fantastic, right? Have you ever had a family doc talk like that? I know I haven't. So it's amazing. So, all right, Dr. Tolu, let's get into this conversation. So I know that as a family medicine doc, you see women at every stage of life and from adolescence to menopause. And so how do you approach the menopausal transition in your practice?
So one of the things actually most of my clients tend to be middle-aged women. And one of the things I tend to do is be more of a spokesperson to highlight to the patient, like, let me let you know what's going on. Mm-hmm. You're not crazy. You're going through this transition through menopause. Because some of them don't, I don't feel like myself.
Yeah.
I'm just tired.
Yeah.
I do see when we get a little more irritable, I see people struggle even at work, the brain fog, like, I don't know, I can't sleep. I see, and doing, their pap smears or their wellness visits, I'm asking questions like, so what's important for you this season? Like, what are your health goals? I just want to feel better. What do you mean? I want to have more energy. I want to, and then I ask questions like, are you sexually active? Yes. Are you enjoying sex? No. And then, so I'm a prober. I ask the questions like what's important for you?
Yeah.
And so what I've learned over the, years I've been doing practice I practice in medicine is to learn to ask better questions to my patients.
Yes.
So I can tease out what's really important
to get better answers, right?
While I'm trying to say, I think you got to do a mammogram, do things. I'm like, well, let's recognize, are there changes happening that we need to talk about?
Right.
And I call menopause it's like a wake up call, like your body's saying, you've owed me boundaries, good sleep,
excellent.
Eating better, exercise for a while, and now I'm collecting. So it's like a self-care reset. Like it makes you say, no. So that's what I say. Don't worry, like this is just your body speaking louder than usual.
That's so funny you say that because I wrote this paper. It's still sitting on my computer. So I have to actually put it into a blog and get it out into the world. But I say that perimenopause is a window into your future. Right? Mm-hmm. So women in perimenopause start to develop cardiometabolic disease, like, for example, diabetes or high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And so just like you said, this is kind of like a wake up call. I see it as such. I see it, like this is the time to really take hold of your future. Right. And we see that in OB. We say that pregnancy is a window into the future of a woman's life. So, for example, if she develops diabetes, she has a 50% chance. If she develops gestational diabetes, right, she has a 50% chance of developing diabetes later on in life. If she develops high blood pressure in pregnancy, sometimes that high blood pressure doesn't even go away after the pregnancy, but they have a higher risk of developing high blood pressure as we go further along. So, perimenopause, same things, right? Because we have all these hormonal shifts. So same things start to happen. Some people become pre-diabetic that were never diabetic. Some people start to develop high blood pressure. Some people start to get high cholesterol. So all of these things are like a wake-up call so that women can take ownership of their future health. And now is the time to do it, right? Before those diseases set in and they become chronic diseases, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So tell me now, what are some of the misconceptions that your patients have about menopause, especially in communities of color and, let's say, faith-based settings?
That taking medicines is wrong. It's like you got to suffer through. That's being a woman. It's like almost like, how some people equate being able to deliver a baby without using pain medicine.
Don't even get me started on that. Yeah.
Or and hey, if that's what you want, that's cool.
No, that's cool.
I attempted that. I was like, I'm a Hebrew woman.
But did you get a medal at the end of it? No one gives you a medal.
I asked them to bring the epidural now. I thought, I'm a doctor, you better get that epidural now. So I asked them to bring it in. So sometimes we equate the need to ask for help.
Yeah.
The need to get something to help through seasons of life as sign of weakness.
Yes.
And you're not being a good mom if you don't suffer through things.
Yep.
And that's I think that's one of the biggest things. And so sometimes the navigate like, okay, that's okay. We can try supplements. We can try lifestyle hacks. When you start to see that it's costing you more than you're willing to give, then we can talk other options. Yeah. So I don't shame. Like, I want you to do what's more comfortable for you, but letting them know that there are options. But the biggest thing is like, oh, if I take something, then my parents didn't have to, my mom didn't have to. We didn't talk about it though.
Yeah.
But they went through it and they were fine. I saw them fanning themselves.
Right. Yeah. You know what the thing is I really feel like women's pain is normalized. Right?
Yes, I think we do that for ourselves.
We do that to ourselves, right? So like we suffer through our periods, right? So periods are supposed to, everybody's like, oh, well, periods are supposed to be painful, right? We don't ever get it evaluated. Maybe we're having pain because we have endometriosis. Maybe we have pain because we have fibroids. Maybe we have adenomyosis, right? So maybe, get that stuff looked into, right? Like, so if you're suffering, why are you suffering? Figure it out. Let's figure out, a plan. I feel like, again, women laboring, right? Laboring in delivery, right? They feel like they have to suffer. They can't take an epidural because that's a sign of weakness. They should be able to do this on their own, right? I'm like, listen, you are not in, the jungle where you have to have a baby without any type of medication, right? No, you are in New York.
We have options.
We have options. You have options. You can get an epidural if you want it, right? You don't have to suffer. I think that, same thing, like perimenopause, menopause, women just see it as like a badge of honor, right? Like we just suffer through it.
Dr. Sadaf, even in marriage, we sit down, we don't say what we want, and we get mad that the man can't read our minds.
Yes.
I'm like,
why can't he read our minds?
I was like, what's wrong with him? Like, we don't ask for help. We don't receive. Like, it's like, he should know. No, you ask for help.
No.
For all the seasons.
Yeah, right? Like, he doesn't know what you want. Well, did you ever tell him what you want? Did you ever tell him what you like? No, I never told him. Well, then I expect him to just know. Right. We've been married for like 21 years. He should know by now. Well, he doesn't because he's a man. That's why he doesn't know. But anyways, we won't get into that. But yeah, you're absolutely right? Like, we don't ask for what we want. And so when you don't ask for what you want, you're never going to get it. That's all it is, right?
Got to ask.
So we hear, a lot of women say, menopause just happens. We just have to deal with it. How do you help patients understand that they really don't have to deal with it, that they can get help?
So it's telling them what's possible. And sometimes it's, asking the questions that tease out like, okay, like I had one, she's a big C-suite, type body.
Yeah.
I'm struggling. I'm focused issues. I'm like, okay, let's do some blood work. Are you sleeping well? Let's talk about eating. Let's talk about exercise, what you're doing. And is then, okay, first, you're not crazy. Of course, we do tests. ADHD sometimes manifests more around this time. So I'm like, okay, there are options there. But it's telling them what the quality of life, like what's possible. It's almost like with sleep studies. Patients who are not sleeping well when they start, because you know your own sleep.
Right.
So to you, it's like, that's all you know. So you don't think there's anything better.
Correct.
But then it's trying to sell people on the why. Like, your relationship is struggling because you're tired all the time. You don't feel like having sex. You're snappy. You're cranky. And you're not able to exercise, even though you need to exercise to help you feel better.
Right.
So how about we trade? So it's almost like a negotiating. Like, let me tell you why I think you should. And you tell me if you're willing to trade. You try it. And then we amp it up. Or you meet people where they are. You help them get to where you think, they should be.
Absolutely. And I feel like, women need to see a picture of themselves of where they could be, right? Like, do you really need to suffer? Do you really need to have that painful sex, right? And if you don't, like, you're not benefiting from it, right? So if you don't need to suffer, if you don't need to have that pain, well, there is an option, right? Like, we can deal with this. We can get you help. So, I think they just really need to understand where they could be and what they could have, right? And like you said, if they don't know any better, if they've been suffering their whole life, then that's just what they expect, right?
But there are options. We've come a long way in medicine. And also it's also asking, what are the fears? Oh, side effects or this. Let's answer those questions. And are they real? Are they real? Are they myths?
Yeah.
And that's where we remove mindsets that actually don't serve us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that sometimes when we have people that are, let's say, they're really religious, like they feel like they need to suffer, right? Or perhaps, they don't want to take any hormones because they feel like it's going to give them cancer. How do you talk to them about that?
Now, I'm a woman of faith myself. And so, there are times where, I'll be honest, I've wanted to not have to take medicine. I wanted to do it, quote unquote, naturally. But I prayed about it. I was like, I wouldn't ask someone to do something they're not comfortable with.
Right.
But I do believe that medicine is a gift from God. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Like, it's
knowledge
like saying,
is a gift.
It's like saying, I don't want to use the internet. I just want to write letters to people. I don't want to use email. Like, because it's not natural or whatever. Like, I'd rather write letters, but we've come a long way. It's for using it to improve quality of life so you can be all that God has created you to be, right? If you're tired, if you're miserable, if sex is painful, I'm sure you're or not comfortable, your spouse can tell, and he's not happy that you're miserable. Right. So it's not a win-win. So I think the as we see that we can benefit too, and the person we're with can benefit too. So a win-win, I think that's better. Suffering does not equate goodness. I don't know, rightness. So it's no.
To your point about your partner realizing when you're in pain, right? So say that you're trying to have sex with your partner and you're having pain, they can actually start to develop some type of premature ejaculation or erectile dysfunction because of every time you start to have intercourse, you're having pain. Then all of a sudden they have it in their head, right? That you're going to experience pain every time they start to have intercourse. They're not going to be able to have an erection, right? At least an erection long enough for both of you to experience pleasure. So that might cause, right? So female sexual dysfunction doesn't just hurt one side of the equation, right? It actually plays a part in that couple equation. And so when one person is healed, it helps the other person heal as well.
I like that. That is true.
Right? So I think that it's really important and it's funny because, we don't, as a gynecologist, right? I don't see the other half. I only see women. And so I had this revelation when I shadowed a doctor of ours, a friend, Dr. Rachel Rubin, when I was shadowing her. And she actually, because she saw both the husband and the wife, you actually saw how dealing with the particular sexual dysfunction had a part in how their relationship and was now starting to play out and how they were able to support each other. and how their relationship changed because one partner was treated and actually the other partner was treated as well. And so they were both able to experience pleasure. Another time I had a patient in my own office who was experiencing, she had lichen sclerosis. So she had a lot of pain. She had vaginismus. So once she started dealing with and working with all of those things where she no longer had pain, she noted that her husband's erectile dysfunction went away.
Wow.
Because he didn't sense that he was causing her pain, right? Like every single time he felt like he was causing her pain. So he was starting to experience erectile dysfunction. But once she started to feel better and was no longer experiencing pain, then his dysfunction also got better. So really interesting how that kind of plays. Yeah.
And that's so sweet that he, like, it's almost like psychologically he wanted to come earlier. So he would limit how long she was in pain.
Right.
Now that was addressed and both can actually enjoy intimacy, enjoy sex without feeling, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. So what are some of the biggest myths, do you think, about hormone therapy that you have that you'd had to dispel?
That you start talking like a man.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, I have people say that
no way.
Masculinization.
Of what? Taking estrogen?
I'm not taking testosterone.
Oh, taking testosterone.
Or breast cancer, definitely. Cancers, breast cancer, uterine cancer.
Yeah, a lot of people feel
that would change their mood. So equating to, like, when I was on birth, they're on birth control, they felt a little moody, so they're worried that this would also cause that. And those are the most common ones.
It's so funny you bring that up because I was just listening to, what was I watching? I don't know. Yes, I know. It was Dr. Louise Newsom, and she had somebody on her podcast, and they were talking about how birth control pills, remember, so when we talk about menopausal hormonal therapy, a lot of times, right, what we give back to you are hormones that are identical to your body's own hormones, right? So the estradiol, the micronized progesterone, right? They're similar to the body's own estrogen progesterone that we make. But birth control pills actually shut down your ovaries, and we replace the estrogen progesterone with synthetic, right? So they're not like your body's own, right? So they can absolutely affect your anxiety and your depression and your moods. And that's why birth control pills can have that effect on women, because they're not similar to your body's own estrogen and progesterone. There are different forms of estrogen and progesterone. And so when you say that, women are concerned that, menopausal hormonal therapy is going to cause that same issue as birth control pills, I would counter and say that, but those are different hormones that we're giving you, and they don't act the same way in the brain that the synthetic hormones did. So that they should actually give it a try and see what happens when they take more, hormones that are more similar to the body's own.
Good point. That's good. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. So how do you integrate holistic or lifestyle medicine into your approach? I know you talk to your patients a lot about like what they eat, their nutrition. I know I asked for, and you sent me the recipe for your smoothies that you make. And I see that you have one right now as well.
I actually froze them for the day.
No way.
With me. Yeah. That's
amazing. That's amazing. So tell me a little bit about your smoothies and all this nutritional health you talk about.
So, one of the things I've had to kind of reconcile is that sometimes doing the things is not easy. So I want to make it easier. So the truth is, as you go through perimenopause, you notice that eating junk food, you feel worse than before. You could get away with it before.
That's true.
I've noticed that when I eat sweet, like junk food, like I feel more tired. So it's not always the headache or the nausea or the diarrhea or the things are so obvious. Sometimes it's like I feel tired or moodier or less energized. And so I would say the 6 things I tell people, sleep is now non-negotiable.
Yes.
So your nighttime routine. So we kind of reconcile that. And I have videos that I give them to watch, hopefully not at nighttime. To help the nighttime routine, the brain dump, writing down all the ideas, the things you forgot to do. So offsetting that in conversation and doing something more restful, not watching TV or being triggered by phone alert. We talked about exercise and especially strength training, not just weights, but where you do resistant training and consistent. Like if you had to pick 2 days to exercise, well, the 2 would be strength training.
Right.
also hydration, because when you're not hydrated, you feel tired too.
Yeah.
And then protein intake, and not just any protein. We're talking quality protein. And people always equate protein with always eating meat. Well, I'm not saying don't eat meat, but you can get a good amount of protein from your beans, your healthy nuts, your seeds. So whole grains. And so the supplements are an easier way for me to get those in, because I'm shooting for 100 grams of protein. So by the time I put the 2 scoops of protein powder, I put my chia seeds, I put my vitamin, I put the berries, the high antioxidant organic berries, and water in there. I already have about 90.
Amazing.
So I'll drink
Holy
that
cow, just in your smoothie.
So
No
breakfast and lunch.
Oh my God.
I'm full. Now, when I get home, I'll eat something else. And it helps me because people keep bringing me the gifts of junk food in the office. So this helps. I feel better. My skin is glowing. I have more energy. And then
your skin is glowing.
Yeah. So that's what I use. And so I have to find new ways. And I encourage patients to find new ways to eat healthier without having to think too much. So those who are able to have someone meal prep, so they have, and when I say meal prep, what are your protein choices? Like, do you have your lean meat, your chicken grilled already, your salmon grilled for the week? Do you have nuts already in little goodie bags? Do you have your fruits, your vegetables sliced? So it's easy
cow. I need you to come over and help me.
Like Sundays, we put on music, or someone's watching TV, and the kids, they're slicing their cucumbers, their baby carrots, and it's
amazing. You have an assembly line.
Yeah, we have to. Like, I had to ask them for help.
That's amazing.
Because I used to do it myself too. I used to do it myself. I would do all the things. Now I'm like, that's great. Can you slice the cucumber?
Yeah, heck
you
right.
cut the cantaloupe. You like that?
I mean, why else did you have them? Except to help you, right?
You know, the truth is, as we do it, it's a win-win. So we get the healthy foods, but they help us so we don't break down.
That's right. That's right. Yes. Exactly. So many women in midlife experience pain with intercourse. We talked a little bit about that, or low libido or vaginal dryness, but of course they never talk about it. How do you create like a safe space where patients will talk to you about things like that?
So it's usually easier when they come for their pap smear.
Yeah.
So while I'm doing it, all right, you having sex or not? What's wrong? Oh, doc, I heard I don't feel like, oh, what happened? So, and then sometimes the question of, all right, what's going on? So like when they come to the wellness visits, I already have team members who ask the questions, your last mammo, all the stuff, the colonoscopy. So all of that is in there. I know what to order, the bone density, but then I walk in. So what's important for you? Like, what do you want? Spirit, soul, body. Like if I had a magic wand and I just waved it and I would make you feel better in any of those areas, what would it be? And then someone's like, I've had people say, I want peace of mind. So I feel restless. I have people say, doc, my joy, or I just feel tired all the time. So, or, sometimes I get to hear about, relationship issues, because sometimes people come, blood pressure, everything is relatively good, but you can just sense that they're not happy. I'm not a therapist, but it's more what's going on. So, relationship issues. And the issue is when he tries to have sex, I cringe. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, can't you see? Or, I had one who's had breast cancer and had the treatment. So it's been almost quite a while that I've been tempted. And she said the last time they tried, it hurt.
Yes.
So it's more, I kind of straight shoot, because I know people don't volunteer that information so often. And when I ask directly, the feedback is really like, yeah, I'm like, any problems during sex? No. Then I say, no pain. How's your libido? Because sometimes, yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay, we're like, what does that mean? Because sometimes we're good means once in a year we have sex.
Yes.
So I tend to probe a little further to make sure that that's addressed. And you see them blush like, oh, I didn't know how to bring it up. And that's why I had you on live with me. To have that conversation.
Yes.
To help normalize it.
Yeah.
Because I had patients sending me, they didn't comment on the live, but they send privately, thank you for doing that.
Oh, nice.
Women want to hear but it's not something you go around, yay, can you help me?
Yeah.
That hurts,
Yeah, I mean, there's so much shame, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of shame, there's taboo, there's stigma. And so I think that, and not just in one community, I think it's throughout, right? It's like a global issue that we have, right? We think that nobody wants to talk about it. And I think when things are enshrouded in shame, then nobody ever talks about it and people just suffer, right? And I think that when you put light on something, light on a topic that's very sensitive, then it comes out of the darkness and out of the shame. And then we're actually able to have conversations, right? And people are able to heal, because then if they've been suffering their whole lives and nobody's been listening to them, and they go to their gynecologist, right? They go to their gynecologist once a year, and the gynecologist literally doesn't even examine the vulva. All they do is take a look and get the pap smear, right? Because that's what we're taught. We're taught just to like, hurry up, go get the pap smear and then move on to the next patient. Then they just end up suffering. And I think that they just, right? Because who is the person that they're going to talk to? It's either going to be their family doc, right? If they feel comfortable, wherever they're getting their gynecologic exam is a place where they're going to have that discussion. And if they see that their doctor doesn't have the time or just can't be bothered with a topic like that, or dismisses their pain, then they're just going to be like, well, I guess, I can't talk about this, or they're not interested. They don't even know how to help me. What's interesting is actually I had a patient that went to a gynecologist, and I actually made a reel about this, went to a gynecologist in the area that I live in, right? And she was having pain with sex and vaginal dryness. And you know what he told her to do? He told her to put Crisco in the vagina. Crisco. Can you imagine Crisco? Mm-hmm. And she was doing that every single day. And she told him that. And she was starting to get some infections and this and that. And he just, that was the only suggestion he gave her. And, I can see, I can't even see why he would have told her that. But anyways, and this is coming from a gynecologist, right? So, the poor woman, she's going to believe whatever her doctor is telling her. And it wasn't until she came to me that she was like, oh my God, I've been putting Crisco in the whole time. You mean there was actually something else I could have done? Right? So anyways, when, it's really important for physicians to get the education, the guidance that they need. And, sometimes, we talked a little bit about this, right? Like, I feel like, physicians we are like taught to be perfect, right? We can't ask for help. Especially in surgical specialties like mine, like in OBGYN, right? If you ask for help, it's almost like a sign of weakness. Like you feel embarrassed. Like if I need help with surgery, right? You're made to feel like, oh, well, why can't you handle this? This is so easy. This is, and surgeons are actually so bad. They're awful. And I can say that because I'm a surgeon. But they really make you feel like you're just not good enough. And so I think that we carry that with us, right? Like we're afraid to ask for help. We're afraid to let people know that we don't know, right? Afraid to be vulnerable and honest, right? Be human. And so anyways, it's up to us as physicians to get the education that we need. Sorry, there's like a bunch of flies here, but to get the education that we need so that we can help our patients. So what are some of the medical or behavioral approaches that you think can improve with like sexual well-being? What do you tell people?
Advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
Learn how to advocate for yourself. There usually is a solution for a problem. So when you go with that mindset that that it's a question of, okay, asking the right spaces or finding the person who will listen to you to get that addressed.
Yeah.
I remember, giving a talk it was a church, it was a men's group, and, about menopause, just educating men. Like, this is how you're supposed to support your wife. They're like, it's like she just changed. She just became different. And then when we first got married, I'm like, she's going through the changes.
Right.
You notice that divorce rates peak around midlife. So, some of that comes to play. So it's teaching people how to advocate for themselves and increasing awareness that there are options, there are ways to treat even locally. If you don't want to take pills, there are vaginal options to take. There are medications that can actually help with, not only for men, because everybody's like, Viagra, women have options now. There are pills that actually help improve libido for women.
Yes.
We have options now. So
yes.
So please advocate for yourself. And the why is because when you are better, the systems dependent on you also thrive. So you're not just doing it for you, because I know as a woman, we're nurturers. So it's always like, no, that's part of being a mom. You nurture, you want to help people, but you're able to help people more when you are better.
100%, right? Like if you're feeling good, then you can help the whole, and it's really like, it's funny, right? Like it really is dependent on, I feel like the wife, right? Like the mother, whoever the maternal figure is, right? I feel like if she is doing good, then everyone's doing good, right? Isn't that what they say? A happy
life, happy life.
A happy wife, happy life. Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like that is a huge component. And I like that you give people hope, right? And that's what I always want people to walk away with when they listen to my podcast. I want them to know that there's always hope, and that, regardless of whatever it is that they're going through, that there is some solution out there, right? That there is, for every disease, there is a cure. And actually, that's actually a saying that we have in our religious scripture, that there is treatment for every ailment except death.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So there's hope. So anyways, before we get really too deep, but yeah, so I want everyone to always know that there's hope, and you can always, seek care. And if you need help with any type of female sexual dysfunction, you should definitely, speak to healthcare providers that know how to help. So how do you address the emotional and relational side of sexual health, especially when a partner may not understand the changes a woman is experiencing? So I like the fact that you had that menopause for men. I did the same thing. I had a webinar, and
that can be a little tough. Sometimes I had to offer, even in giving diagnosis, like a piece or things like that. Like, I would be happy to talk with your spouse if they're willing to come in with an appointment with you and address any questions they may have. Also, women, we do have a way of appealing to our husbands. Like, there are ways we know how to, for most women, of course, hopefully the man is open to conversation, but also even listening to a podcast about it openly so he can hear.
Right. That there's solutions, right?
That this is a thing,
Yeah.
But keep it. The conversation is not always one. Like I said, I told him 2 years ago that this is menopause. You didn't hear me. You can have the conversation again and again and again. Like,
sometimes it does take multiple times.
Yeah, it does. So not giving up. It's the same thing with relationships. You don't just say, okay, we were married. We went for a course 10 years ago on how to communicate better. You still need to go for courses or read books or something.
That's for sure.
So it's a continuous. So don't give up on the process of asking for your need. And the ask is not one that's over. You ask, and ask till your joy is full. Okay.
That's right. That's right. You always ask. And I think that, the more we take ownership of our own health, the more I think we'll be happy. Don't you think? I mean, I think that we have to understand that, it's a new generation. Women are not accepting pain in midlife anymore. They're not accepting this as a new status quo. They know that there are options. Social media, due to the advent of social media, right? Like, information and education can be spread so quickly that we have options now, and I think that is really what's important to know and understand. And, if you're somewhere where there aren't any options, definitely go and speak with your provider and see what can be done. But I think that it's really important to know that you don't have to suffer in midlife, that there are things that can be done. So I think that that's super important. So, a question that I think is really important is that in different cultures, right, sex and menopause are often taboo topics, and not just, let's say, our culture, but a bunch of cultures. How can healthcare providers respectfully bring these conversations and have these conversations to their patients?
I believe that sex is a, is an intimate act between a husband and a wife, and it's a sacred thing. It helps with the union. So I don't believe in just loose talk about it. Don't get me wrong, but I do believe in openness about it. Yeah. You should have conversations around it. And so one of the things that we as clinicians need to do is also meet people where they are and understand their comfort level. I will not start off, hey, are you doing it? Yeah. No. It's like, oh, how's your intimate, like, how's your intimate life with, and I gauge it by, you read the room.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
So there are ways to, there are ways that a patient can communicate that something's going on, but they're not quite ready to have that conversation. Yeah. Is letting them know that the door is open. Let me know if there's any problem in that area. There's something, no, we're fine. Okay, no problem. If anything comes up and there's any advice you want me to help give you in that area, I can. So at least let them know the door is open to have that conversation. Some people are not ready right away. And for them, it's like, why are you asking me that question? But the truth is, pap smears appointments give me an open plan.
Yeah.
And with women one-on-one, it's usually easier. Like, okay, how's the relationship? How it is at home? How are you and your husband? How's the family? The small talk sometimes give clues too. But I think the big thing is listening. And sometimes, when we are seeing patients very quickly, that can be hard. And that's why team is important. The other stuff, the preventive stuff, they've already asked. I've seen that. So I don't need to go in there and ask the same questions again. I then focus on, okay, what do you want?
Right.
And so meeting people where they are, asking the questions, and letting them know the door of communication is open. They don't have to wait a whole year to see you. They can come back.
Yes.
Just talk about how sex is.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's really a good point that you bring up, because I think that patients feel that, well, I see my gynecologist once a year, so I'll wait till next year to bring that up, right? Where instead, it's actually better if you go to your provider and use a focused problem visit, right? Because then you're just focusing on that one issue. You're not talking about everything else, like your mammogram, your colposcopy, your not colposcopy, but colonoscopy. Let's say, your bone density, all of that stuff, right? That's already taken care of. What you need is maybe you need help with libido, right? And that's the number one thing to go. The number one thing that women experience in midlife is female sexual dysfunction is decreased libido. So that's really important. And it's really important for doctors to feel comfortable addressing that, right? And talking about it. And I think that's really important. So what does thriving in menopause mean to you?
It means still living your best life, or the best possible version, even through menopause. So optimizing yourself even through menopause, and not settling for, well, I guess this is how I'm supposed to feel, and then also paying the price with support, paying the price to feel better.
Yeah.
Just to feel better, spirit, soul, and body. So it's okay. Now, when I say now you have to, your boundaries, like you didn't have boundaries, and boundaries is not, no, I'm not talking to you. No, I'm not hanging out with you. It's where you actually start to put things that are important to you and your well-being on schedule. So when people come to you and offer of suggestions, you're like, oh, no, I'm booked that time. That's when I spend quality time with my family, and I get poured into. That's when I go to the gym. Yeah. I mean, you don't spell out your business people this time, but these are seasons I'm available for this in this amount of quantity. Because you learn to put things that are important for you on your own calendar. Yeah. And not get mad when other people are putting stuff on their calendars, on your calendars, because you didn't say you had things on your calendar, because you didn't communicate that.
Right.
So there are ways to thrive in menopause. I think this is where you start to really ask for what's important to you. And it's not a selfishness. It's more an awareness.
Right.
It's a self-awareness, because your body is speaking in louder volumes. If you don't listen, then you struggle, and the systems around you tied to you struggle too. So you thrive. It's a wake-up call. Make sure you heed the call. Yeah.
That's right. And I think that, that's really important, right? So we know that we don't have to suffer. We know that we can thrive, and we know that we can live our best lives. The New York Times actually published an article that talked about how women were having the best sex that they've ever had in menopause. And that's because, they were prioritizing their own pleasure. They weren't trying to please only their partner. And they just didn't care anymore, right? That it was time for them to focus on themselves. So, and they weren't worried about getting pregnant. And, but, if you're not in a monogamous relationship, you always have to use protection. So that's really important. But, all of those reasons were why, and women just felt confident, right? As we get older, we have more life experiences, and we just feel more confident about life. So I think that really, it really resonates and shows. So how can women advocate for themselves?
Well, make it easy by having a list of things, like really knowing what you want. Like, sometimes we're open to suggestions, which is fine, but what do you want?
Yeah.
What's important to you?
Yeah.
And writing those down, having a place where you could put that, like what's bothering you. And then, when you go to your doctor's office, giving the medical assistant a heads up, like you got to maximize your doctor's visit. So you give them a heads up, like these are my concerns, so that they're addressed. And that's one. Number two, when you're looking for a primary care doctor, do your research. Like, what's important to you? You want to feel heard. Some people may thrive better with a DPC model, where it's like you have more time. You do have to pay for it, but you're willing to pay for that, so you can have an hour time with the patient. with your
You're
physician.
investing in yourself.
You're
right?
investing in yourself. So that's a wrap. I'm private practice with insurance space, and I do see patients pretty quickly. But one of the things I've learned to do is to hone in on what's really important and have teams to support me so that even the few minutes are maxed out. So learning to, write the things that are important to you, sharing that with your doctor, doing research on your clinician before you go. Like you owe yourself that to do research, what's important to you, and make sure you're a good fit. And start asking for help. Ask for help and know that it makes you human. You're human. Asking for help actually increases your capacity.
Yes.
Man, that's been a game changer for me. I gotta say.
Right.
Asking for help increases your capacity.
Sure does. And you can be more present, right? Mm-hmm. Because you don't have to take care of everything else. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have those people to help you. So what message would you share with your younger self?
With my younger self?
Regarding, let's say, menopause or female sexual dysfunction, what would you share?
I would say, try to work on the habits that help make menopause a little bit easier. So as a lifestyle physician, I found that like when you do the things, it makes it better. So exercise and normalize that. Yeah. Eating fruits and vegetables, normalize that. Knowing what good proteins are and eating them, normalize that. Making sure your sleep is optimized, normalize that, because it makes the transition not such a shocker. Like I got to give up this. I got to give up this. Yeah. So habit. I recommend the book, Atomic Habits, right? Thomas Cleary. Love that book. It's a game changer. As you do those things, as you go through perimenopause, it's not a shock. It's just you intensify sometimes and you prioritize it a little bit more. So don't wait. It doesn't, if you invest early.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the key, right? Early. You get the dividends later, right? Isn't that what it is?
Yes. Invest early.
That's right. So finally, what's one step that every woman can take when it comes to starting to take care of her midlife? And you already started saying that, right? You started saying, start early, start those good habits early. But what else can she do about a midlife and maybe about her sexual health?
Don't suffer alone.
Yeah.
Please.
I like that.
Don't suffer. Silence is not necessarily strength. It's sometimes it could be self-destruction. So I don't mean to be overly dramatic, but at the end, it's like, man, I could have asked for help, or I could have told you that I was going through some changes that I didn't even understand myself. The relationship didn't have to suffer. Like, please don't suffer in silence. I don't say stand on the rooftop and air your business out there, but you need to get in the spaces to get the help, because everybody who appears to look all put together is getting help somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you that.
Of course.
Everyone is getting help. So get yours. Get you some.
That's right. That's right.
Help, yes.
Because, there is power in getting help. And especially, I think one of the most powerful things, right, is getting help for your mental health. Right? Because when you are right in your head, everything else is right.
True.
Right. True. So I think that's really important. And I think that is, what a fantastic conversation. What do you think?
This was fun. Yes. I'm so relaxing too. It was good.
All right. Yeah. So for everyone, for anyone that may not know where you are located, how they can get in touch with you, for people thinking like, wow, Dr. Tolu is amazing, and I need to get some of her smoothie recipes, because that sounds amazing. Like, you have almost 100 grams in your smoothie. I can't even believe that. What the heck? I'm going to have to get those recipes. But for, all those people viewing and listening out there, how can they get in touch with you?
So our website is www.liveinspringmedicals.com. So that's Live in Spring and then Medicals with an S. I'm also on YouTube. You could just Dr. Olabintan, Instagram and Facebook as well. I do have a YouTube channel where you could watch, different tips on how to live long and well. I haven't announced I have a podcast. I haven't launched it yet, but you can find it.
You have a podcast?
I do, Living Long and Well with Dr. O.
When did you start that?
2 months ago. I haven't launched it yet. It's come, but you heard it first on her podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Amazing. Good for you. Well, that's fantastic, right? Because you and I did a live together. Remember, I was in the library.
Yeah. That was good. It worked out. And no one came. That's a good place.
Yeah, right?
People were not.
It was early morning. I think it was like an early morning Saturday.
Yes.
Right? And so nobody was at the library. I was able to do a podcast. So that's fantastic. But all right. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Dr. Tolu. And this has been real and really intimate. And remember, this is not meant to be any type of medical advice. So if you have any questions about midlife, make sure you go speak with your healthcare provider. And until next time, this is the Muslim Sex Podcast. So thank you for listening to the podcast, and make sure you leave us a review, share and like the podcast. And if you leave me a review, I'd love to shout you out on social media. So be sure that you share it with all your friends. And thanks for listening.